We need to know that culture, again, is not only about color and ethnicity and religion. Culture, everybody has a culture. So the older people, the younger people, each one of them has a culture. The able people, the disabled people have a culture. The females have a culture. The males have a culture. Location, where you come from, has a culture. Every single person, each one of us have a culture. So to define the culture, culture is the lens that we see the world through. But what we forget is that other people have different lenses. So they see the world, again, in different ways. Our culture forms our values, create our attitudes, and based on the values and our attitudes, our behavior work or develop. The dangerous part of the culture is that it's like an iceberg. When the Titanic hit the iceberg, what was the most dangerous part of the iceberg?
Part underwater. The part underwater.
Under the water, because it was a lot bigger and you couldn't see it. That's the same with culture. Only 1/10 of the cultures are on the surface. 9/10 of the culture are hidden. So on the surface are the way we look, the way we dress, the music, the food that we eat, you know, the way we dance, basically what we see externally. But under the surface is the faith, the religion, how we relate to time, how we relate to others, how we relate to pain, how we look at our past, how we look at our presence. So it has a lot under the surface that we don't see, and that's why culture becomes a little bit tricky. So let's start by seeing how cultures look at time. There are something that we call a monochronic culture and a polychronic culture. Monochronic culture is like here in the United States, where time is money. Our time is very well defined. We go into a meeting at a certain time, we leave at a certain time, and time is like that. We do not have time to stop and actually ask personal questions because we have to run to the next meeting or we have to handle another project. Time is money. Time is not flexible. Polychronic cultures where time is flexible, where people tend to build first personal relationships before they build business relationships. And if you don't build those relationships, they will not take the time to do business with you. So time is flexible. You go into a meeting, and if it's 9:15 is acceptable. And you start by asking how they are, how is their family, how is the weather, how was traffic, because you build those relationships. Some examples of these cultures, like for example the Middle Eastern culture, the Hispanic culture too is the same way. I don't have any family here, but my family is my husband's family. So when we have Christmas, if I want them to be there at 3, I tell them that it's at 1.
Boy, that bad. On me, they're only 1 hour.
1 hour? Okay.
See, Puerto Ricans, we're on Puerto Rican time. It is when it is.
Yeah, well, and it doesn't bother me, but it's just like for me, so I don't have to reheat the food. You know, just like that's for me. It's just so 3 they start coming at 3:15. You know, so I know that if I say 1, food will be on the table around 4:15. So it's just like it's very flexible. Like when we went to Brazil for a conference, everybody took the time. You know, it's just like you never arrive on time because it's not proper. You have to be fashionably late. You know, and you start even an hour after the time is okay. And they have to start like having these barbecues and this personal greetings, so before you even start going down to business. So you have to be kind of mellow and relaxed, Mark, you know, just like take it for what it is and enjoy the time. Some cultures are present-oriented. That means like Canada and the United States, where we have short-term planning. We have only 3, 5, maybe 10 years. This is short-term planning. And some people look at their past and they actually they see victory and they see that their whole past is what made them today. And part of that are, for example, the Indian Americans, you know, that are the Native Americans, that where they look at their past as part of the glories. The future-oriented are like Asia, where there is, and they feel that time is an unlimited source for them to grow, and they build for decades up front, you know, and that's how they look at time. So we have different cultures that look at different ways. And it can become annoying sometimes if we have colleagues that are from different cultures and they look at time in different way. But again, if we understand where people are coming from, we kind of understand why they are doing things the way they do it. And then there are 10 components in any culture that we need to kind of know about. And I understand, we had a discussion before, I understand that as immigrants, when we come here, we need to respect the culture that already exists in the United States, and we cannot impose our culture on other people. No one should actually impose a culture on any other culture. The respect has to be mutual and on all sides, and we are in a country where the beauty of it is that it has so many flavors, and these flavors should actually integrate together and not necessarily assimilate. You know, they used to talk about diversity a long time ago in the United States like a melting pot. And I just hate that word. Melting pot for me is just like you put everything together and you melt them and they become all this gooey thing that has no shape or no color, when we can all still keep part of who we are, but still add to the others so we can have better results, better solutions, better harmony, and better team building. So the first part of components is sense of self and personal space. How do we look ourselves? Are we a humble culture or are we a macho culture? And by the way, people have that misperception that the word macho for the Hispanics means that they are the people that we see on TV as gangs and just like rough and tough and they just fight all the time. And actually the macho word, the origin of it came to explain how the man is protecting and is actually providing for their families. So the origin of the word macho is actually a good word, but through cultures and through perceptions and misrepresentations, it came to mean something that is not necessarily good. So, and then the personal space. Here in the United States, we are very peculiar about our personal space. So the acceptable personal space is an arm length, 360 degrees. And if someone steps into this circle, we feel invaded. I personally feel that way, though I'm from a different culture. I come from a culture where people are right here. They're right in your face. And they're right in your face not because they're rude and not because they don't have manners. Because for them, the closer they are to you, the friendlier they feel they are to you. Or they feel close to you as a friend. And I have seen it happening. People keep going back and they keep moving and going back and moving till they hit the wall. So this is something, and I know, and that added with, like you said before, body odor, that becomes lethal. But it just, I want you to know that people, you're lucky that you are behind the window, you know? So some people will be like in your face because this is what they know. And people do what they know best, what they are used to. People do not mean to be in your face. People do not mean to be rude to you, but this is what they know best. You know, and I always say we need to understand that when people are different, they're just different. They're not wrong, and they're not weird. There is no right culture and wrong culture. It's a culture. So these are things that I see every day, how people think about, and then the communication, the language. We need to know that silence is part of communication. What does the word silent and listen have in common?
Quiet.
Oh, one's got to be silent to listen.
They share the exact same letters. Silent and listen, right? So part of being silent is to be able to listen to others. Because you cannot listen to others without being silent, without stopping talking, speaking. So silence in certain cultures, like the Asian culture, is actually revered, and it's part of respect and it's part of meditation, because the Asian culture is a listener culture. Meaning, as a speaker, you talk about what you have to say, but you don't summarize it. You don't tell them what they need to think about. because it's disrespectful to do that. They need to come to conclusion by themselves. So silence is acceptable. But here in the United States, we are a speaker culture. The same in Egypt, the same in Israel, meaning that the speaker has to summarize their point and has to get their point across, so we keep talking. So the minute that we have a moment of silence, it becomes very uncomfortable. And we have to fill the gap really quick. If not, it just like, it becomes like, oh my God, what am I gonna say now? You know, so
it has to do with context in which
it has to do with?
the context, the context in which is going on.
Yeah,
Because
but
if you talk with somebody and they're silent, it can be interpreted like they're ignoring you. They don't care.
But this is the culture.
Respectful.
But it's not necessarily the truth.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah,
within
because
context.
again, like the Asian, people that are from Asian descent, silence is very revered to them. It's very important. And you need to respect that. And when they get silent, it's because they're trying to think about what you told them. So they're actually more in tune with you than ignoring you. And that's why we need to understand the differences, and that's why we do culture and diversity training. So people can get to know that there are differences in the word, and they don't mean necessarily something bad. It's just their culture. You know, so, you know, like, we as Americans, we expect to go to every country and expect them to deal with us the way we want to be dealt with. So we expect them to speak English, we expect them to conform to what we see right or wrong. But we have to give the same courtesy here. So communication, language, silence, listening, and context. I want you to know that speaking the same language doesn't mean that we mean the same thing. Like, for example, in Spanish, I was doing a customer service training, and when you say in Spanish, te ayuda ahorita, meaning I will help you now, in Mexico. In Puerto Rico, it means I will help you later. So that's the same word, but in two different Hispanic countries, and they mean different things. Like when I say in English, a lift, what does that mean?
A ride.
A ride. It's actually an elevator in England.
Yeah.
When we say a flat,
A house.
it's an apartment in England. So we, or flat. See, this is in the United States, but in England, they speak English, but they still mean different things for different words. When we say to table something, what does it mean?
To what?
Table an item.
Put it on the table.
I've never heard
No,
that.
like in a meeting, we have an item and a project that we need to table it.
To discuss.
It's the total, bless you, it's the total opposite in England. It's to put it somewhere away for now. So that's what I mean, speaking the same language. We cannot assume because people speak the same language, they mean the same things. Like, for example, in Arabic in Egypt, when you say happy, in Iraq means someone being beaten up. When you say in Tunisia or Morocco or Algeria, you say someone got married, in Egypt means being a pimp. So you can, and they speak the same language. So that's why we need to make sure that to really communicate properly with other people. So there was a Swedish vacuum cleaning company that came to the United States and started doing commercials. So this one, well, commercial said, nothing sucks like an Electrolux. They're using English, and for them sucking because it's a vacuum cleaner, but sucks here we say that it's really bad. So it actually worked against them. Like for example, the Parker, do we know what are the Parker pens?
Yeah.
Parker pens, they're not a Mont Blanc, but they're like a decent kind of pens. When they wanted to go to the Hispanic market, their slogan said it will not leak in your pocket and embarrass you. So when they translated to Spanish, they replaced the word embarrassed by embarazar. And what does it mean in Spanish?
Get pregnant?
Getting pregnant. So the slogan actually said it will not leak in your pocket and get you pregnant. And you would think that big companies will think about that. Like exactly the car that was named Nova. Do we know why it didn't sell in the Hispanic market? Nova in Spanish, what does it mean?
Don't know. Something bad.
It doesn't go. Something doesn't go. Like I think Mitsubishi tried. You know, whoever has been in Puerto Rico knows that Puerto Rico, like the roads on Puerto Rico are very dangerous and they go like this. So they were selling a car that was called Matador, and Matador means killer. So that car didn't sell in Puerto Rico. culture, another culture. Procter & Gamble was introducing a product in Japan, and it was a bubble bath. And part of the culture of the Japanese culture is total privacy, even between man and wife. So they had this commercial where the woman was in a bathtub with the bathtub, and her husband goes inside and starts talking to her, and it's totally against the culture. Needless to say, that product did not sell in Japan. So that's why cultures are very, very important that we ask to be careful about. The bowing means different things, especially in the Asian countries. And the more they bow is the more respect they have for the other person. And then the hand gestures. When someone does that, what does it mean?
Now.
Now,
Immediate.
Hurry up.
hurry up,
Attention.
attention, pay attention. And it could, I just remembered, right?
Yeah.
In certain cultures, this is how you call your dog. Or you call someone that is a servant or a maid, hey.
Yeah.
So be careful when you do that. And it's the same with this. What does this mean
Okay.
Three.
For three.
to us? This is what it means. In Russia, it means zero. In Brazil, it's the biggest insult that you can have.
Oh, yeah.
It is?
It's, yeah. Actually, there was a big tour operator that was taking tours to Brazil, and they wanted to say that everything is A-OK, and they had that on their brochure. Few millions later, they discovered that this was the biggest insult. They actually had to destroy all that material. And yes.
I've actually done that. I was in Ensenada not too long ago, and they have all these stupid vendors coming up to you, bugging you, especially at the beach. And they came up offering something. I was like, hey, I'm all right. We do this here, like it's kind of like nix it.
It's like cut it, yeah.
Yeah. Over there, it's like I'm gonna kill you type thing.
Yes. Like,
Cut off
especially
your
with the,
head.
yeah, like cut off.
Yeah,
That's the same in the
like
Middle
that,
East.
like,
In the
I'm
Middle East,
okay.
this means cutting someone's head.
Yeah, and that's what they
Yeah.
interpret as, because
Yeah.
like she grabbed her kid and kind of like ran away my boot.
Exactly, and we need to be careful. Like in Egypt, if you do this, this is actually a threatening sign, meaning I'm gonna get you. So we need, even this like little things, when you do this in Egypt, meaning be patient. In Italy, it means, no, in Greece means that's perfect. But in Italy, it means what do you mean? So even the little gesture means different things.
How about this, just folding hands like you're in a meeting, just sitting like this? Just have any?
No, actually, this is a sign of power.
Oh.
This and this. If you notice, President Obama always, all the big politicians, they always do this. This is a power stand. Yes, this is a power stand. This communicate like, I'm in control of myself and of the situation. I'm okay and I'm self-confident. This is what it means. Yeah, which is like, again, body language. So what does this mean?
Okay.
Oh, yeah, okay?
You know, if I remember right, isn't that giving somebody the finger? Because that means you gave me the finger a little bit ago and my feet were pointing towards you. You gave me thumbs. I remember
You know what,
that.
after I've done
I remember that.
I remember that. I said, oh my God, I'm going to have to discuss that later. It's,
I've been
you
in
know
your
what,
class before, I remember. Thank you.
Yes, and I didn't mean that though.
I know.
But we just like, we know, you know what, it's funny that after I did that, it clicked in my mind. I'm like, oh my God, what did I do? So,
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
doing it
like-
good, see?
so this, okay, like you're fine, right? Yes. So this actually, in the part of Italy, like Sardinia, is a very insulting. Also in Iran, is one of the most insulting jests that you can do. So, again, for us, it doesn't mean it just means like this, and you know, and snapping the fingers.
Yeah.
What about this?
Call me.
That's common.
Mahalo. Two.
Hello,
Hang
goodbye.
loose.
Call it drinking.
Yeah, or drinking. Yeah.
This way drinking, this way call me.
Okay. In Western, do you have a telephone? In Brazil, it means your wife is cheating on you. And it sees Texas Longhorn. So again, we see how different gestures. And I'm going to tell you, this is a real story. I was coaching someone one-on-one. I do coaching one-on-one. Yeah, it's like this actually. Yeah, it's like this. But
Those are the short ones.
I was coaching someone, and at the end of the sessions, when I coach someone, we usually have a contract of how many sessions and all that. So at the end of the last session, he came in with a little gift bag with me. He gave me a little gift, and there was an apple in the bag. So I said, oh, thank you, that's very sweet. And I put it aside, and then at the end he goes like, do you know what the apple for? So I told him, you brought me a snack. And he said, no. In the United States, when you have a good teacher, they used to give them an apple. So that for me was just like, wow, you know, and just like, and again, you know, and when I went and I told my husband, he was like, shame on you, you call yourself a cultural competence consultant, you don't even know what that means. And I'm like, you know what, that's the proof that I always say, we always learn something new every day.
And it also keeps the doctor away.
It also keeps the doctor away, exactly. That's what I thought. He was nice enough to give me a snack, you know. So, okay, so these are the hand gestures. Now the dress. Part of the dress, appearance, and body adornment, and this is what we were talking about. In certain cultures, they have piercing everywhere, and it's part of their culture. Or they have tattoos on their face. They have, again, we said the head cover is both Orthodox, conservative Jewish women and Muslim women. So it could be part of their, or it could be just someone covering their hair because they have a bad hair day. And also women sometimes cover their hair, especially if they're going through chemotherapy treatment, if they have cancer. So we have to kind of like take it with a grain of salt because we don't know what's going on. On a professional level, wearing a suit like that here in the United States is the proper way to be professional. In other areas of the world, wearing that dress, the white dress that's called galabia, this is their professional attire, because this is their national dress. And this galabia could be anywhere up to $6,000, because it depends on how rare the silk is and how much does it cost to do. And people are very proud of their national dress. I'm the facilitator for the Burbank Neighborhood Leadership Program here. So one year we had a couple of ladies that were from Bangladesh. So they wear the saris like the Indians. So one of them told the coordinator that she's going to be coming in her traditional dress. And the coordinator told her, no, you can't do that. But they had at least the mental awareness to call me and tell me, what does that mean? I told her, no, you actually need to let her come with her national dress because it's a sign of pride, you know, that she graduated from a program and that her family is going to be there. Part of her pride is wearing her national sari or her national, it's not uniform, but dress to come to say who she is and to share. And actually, everybody loved it. It was so colorful. It was so beautiful. It was different. It was just beautiful to be an addition to the ceremony. So like we see the adornment here, here, and these are the covers how people are. And then with the time and time concepts, and we already talked about that. We cannot use maps and flags when we want to say that this is the language that we speak. Because putting the flag of the United States doesn't mean that English is spoken here. Because in the United States, we speak so many languages. I mean, Spanish is a big language in the United States. Ebonics became an official language years ago. You know, English is an official language here. Like the same with Canada. Like the same with Austria. A lot of countries, when you put their flags, it doesn't mean that this is the country they speak. And a lot of people use the flags or the maps as saying that this is the language that is spoken here. And it doesn't have to be that. There are certain cultures where there is a difference in the power. So in the United States, the difference of power is small, and that's why the CEO, we call them by first name. But in other countries like the Asian, Hispanic, Middle Eastern, where the difference in power is very high. So you give respect and reverence to someone that just because they are a boss, or just because they are older in age, without really earning it. You just give it automatically like that. So it's authority that counts in there. There are cultures where they are individual versus collective. So in the United States, we are an individualistic culture, meaning that we have our own personal goals that we need to achieve. We care about what we do, what we own, and all that. But in other countries, like the Asian countries and even the Hispanic, it's about the group of family. So the family is very extensive. So they have primos and primas, and they have aunts and uncles. Like in Egypt, we have aunts and uncles on both sides. And the paternal and maternal uncles and aunts are called different names. So even the cousins on both sides are called different names. So it's about the extension of the family. It's about collectiveness. And it's about the pride that you have. I'm the daughter of so-and-so. I'm the son of so-and-so. That's why you hear in a lot of Arabic names that have Abu. Abu in it. Abu means the father. So that's how they name themselves, because it goes like, especially the prince and the kings or whatever in the Persian Gulf, you know, they go Ibn or Abu, meaning like the son or the father of, because it's a collective culture. It's about the collection, how everybody succeeds. And that's why it's very important to look at that when you work in teamwork. Whose culture is individualistic and whose culture is collective? Who likes to take the credit for only themselves, and who rather have credit for the whole group, and they're humble enough not to, so you won't call them up as to give them credit by themselves. So this is why it's important to hear about that. Then the genders, of course, they are total difference in genders in a lot of cultures. You know, there are some parts of the Middle East, for example, the woman walks 3 steps behind her husband. And they don't eat on the same table. They eat after they serve the man. You know, and there are certain cultures also in Asia that somehow are like that. So the gender differences, of course it's changing with time, but we need to understand the gender of difference. There are certain cultures where they will not let you sit with their wives when you come to visit. They have to be behind, and they don't have to interact with you as a man. Then comes the values, the symbols, the attitudes, the religions, the colors, and the numbers. It also makes a difference. So when we look at this, what does that symbol stand for?
Nothing good.
Nothing good, absolutely. Swastika. This is what it means for us, but this sign has been used for centuries in the Hindu religion. It's a harmony sign that they use in their weddings. And it has been there for centuries and centuries, thousands of years. So
What
symbols...
they base their, what the Nazis used to base that off of, and that's why they turn it sideways?
I cannot really answer that question for sure what it is, but why I'm showing this is that symbols mean different things to different people. And then when, if you remember the London Olympics, they had this sign, and we remember Iran boycotted because they said that it read Zion, and that's why they kind of boycotted. I mean, that guy was like just whatever. Anyhow, numbers mean different things to different people. So the number 4 in Asia is actually a bad luck number, because the way it's said, it's the same way they say death. So 4 is like death. So the number 4 is an unlucky number.
13.
But we'll talk about 13 in a second. But the number 8 is a very lucky number, not the 7. Number 8 is lucky in the Asian community. There was even golf balls manufacturer that sent packages of 4 to Asia for them to, and it didn't sell because it had 4 in a package. That's why these things are really important. The United Airlines, when they started flying in Asia, they started giving a white carnation to people. White is the color of death. And then they soon have to find out their mistake, and they started giving a red carnation. So white in certain parts of the world is mourning and death, and that's what you wear when someone dies. Other areas of the world, you wear black, and you wear it for a certain amount of time. So colors mean different things to different people. Symbols. Do we know the symbol of something fragile, that glass that is kind of broken in the middle, that is like this? I'm not a very good, like this. Like this is like a fracture that shows. Do we know that sign that is on boxes, sometimes fragile? Well, there was a wine manufacturer that shipped boxes and boxes to South Africa. And it came to one of their ports, and the people there, this, for them, they translated as being broken. So they threw all the boxes in the sea. Because they thought this was the symbol. Nothing was written on it, just a symbol. They just throw it in the sea. So that's why culture is kind of... And I know I'm giving you like kind of like extreme examples, but at least so you would know that how difference does it make. 13. Do we know why people look at 13 as a lucky or unlucky number? Well, 13 in the Jewish religion it was mentioned, the God attributes in the Talmud was mentioned 13 times. So it's a good thing. In Christianity, some people look at it as the last dinner or the last meal had 13 people on the table. That's why they kind of translate it as a bad luck. Food and habits. We know that Hindus do not eat beef. Jews and Muslims do not eat pork. And people from the Middle East, they eat with the right hand. They don't use the left hand at all. So if you are passing food, passing it on the right side, more or less. And they see at the left hand is a devil hand, or it's the hand that you use in the bathroom, and that's why you don't use it when you eat. The gifts. Some people, some cultures, like here in the United States, when someone gives you a gift, out of respect, you open the gift right there and then and you thank them. In other culture, you don't. You don't open it in front of people out of respect to them because you don't want to embarrass them in case it's a small gift. So it's out of respect to the others that you don't open it in front of them. And then the work habits and mental processes are different in different cultures. So there are cultures like the Indian culture, when you tell someone about a project, they will remember exactly word for word what you told them, and they will execute it exactly the way you said it. They will not improvise, they will not add any of their efforts, and this is a culture. They just follow orders the way it is. So there are different kind of mental abstract versus remote rote memory. So when you have a team that is from different cultures, you need to think about that. And the way they are appreciated makes a difference. Some people, like Gen X, they value more if you give them time off versus money as a reward. Some people feel if you promote them and you recognize their work and you appreciate them in front of others, this is the way you can actually reward them. So you need to know how everybody rewards system works. And again, we agree that cultures is not only about ethnicity and religion, it's also about age and gender and all that. So.